So we are in core class
Welcome
number
to this
21.
Bible-centered church core
We're on
class.
the third
We
of
hope
8
that this in-depth
about
teaching
Jesus
of God's
the
Word
Messiah.
will challenge you to grow in your
section is
knowledge
prophecy.
of Him and help you become a disciple who makes more disciples.
Prophecy about Jesus. Thanks for joining us again today for our core classes. This one's fun. We're doing Jesus the Messiah, and today we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the fact that there are prophecies throughout the whole Old Testament that point to Jesus, where he's going to be born, what he's going to do, what his life is going to be like. There's even verses that talk about what his death is going to be like. And all those things, for me, I remember even as a young believer, just confirmed to me the reality of who Jesus is and what he's accomplished. The fact that thousands of years before Jesus even arrived on planet Earth, was born as a baby boy, we were told where he was going to be born, what he was going to be like, and many of the things he was going to do. So if you're with us in the big book on Bible doctrines, these are our 201 level classes, and we're on page 154. At the top it says prophecy. There's several verses there. We're not going to read those, but if you just took some time in the book of Isaiah and read section 9, or chapter 9, and then chapter 11, and then chapters 52 through 53, you're going to see these crazy, clear descriptions of Jesus. If you read Isaiah 52 and 53, it sounds like you're reading Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John as they're describing the crucifixion and what happens to Jesus and why he dies on the cross and what he accomplishes on the cross. But it's written thousands of years before Jesus even was born. So it's amazing to watch God show us the fact that he is God over time, space, history, and can see and knows what's going to happen and proves that Jesus is who he said he is through prophecy. So the first point there says, one of the most powerful testimonies to the deity and person of Christ are all of the Old Testament prophecies that were fulfilled in his birth, in his life, and in his death. Over 1,000 years before Jesus came, many of the details of his life were being mapped out by prophecy. Jesus teaches this truth to some of his followers on the road to Emmaus. So after Jesus has resurrected from the grave, he spends some time with a couple disciples on the road to Emmaus, and it says that he basically sits them down, spends some time with them, and he says this, beginning from Moses and from all the prophets, Jesus interpreted to them all the scriptures that concern himself. So basically, Jesus takes them back to the Old Testament. He looks at the words of Moses. He looks at the prophets and says, hey, this is how all of this was speaking to me and about me. So it was really easy before Jesus came to not pick up on those things. But after Jesus came, and after we saw what he was like and what he accomplished and what he did and how he died and how he rose from the dead, then we can go back to the Old Testament and just be amazed at who he was and what he was like. In fact, in that passage, after Jesus then teaches those things, it says he kind of disappears from their sight. And both of them look at each other and say, wasn't your heart burning when he was speaking? There's this excitement that comes when you see Jesus in the Old Testament confirming who he is and what he's like and what he's accomplished. Here are some of the characteristics of biblical prophecy according to Walvoord. Messianic prophecy is often obscure, and sometimes it uses really figurative language. So it's not always clear. Instead of giving you like specific examples, it's not a math book, and it's not like a history book. It's more he's giving us a picture of what is to come. Sometimes in movies you'll see a black raven or a red balloon kind of foreshadowing something about to happen, or the music starts to change to know that you have to get ready for something that's coming at you. Sometimes that's what it feels like when we're reading prophecy in the Old Testament. It didn't give us a lot of clarity on what's coming, but it shows us that something's coming. So sometimes it's figurative. In messianic prediction, the future is often regarded, now this is hard, the future is often regarded as past or present. And the Hebrew frequently uses the perfect tense, indicating a completed action in making its predictions. In other words, like even when Isaiah 53 is talking about Jesus who will die over 1,000 years from now, it almost describes it like it's taking place in the present. So from God's point of view, everything is kind of present to him. From God's point of view, everything kind of is being experienced in the present. He can just as clearly see what's going to happen tomorrow as what he can see that happened yesterday. For God, time is almost irrelevant for God in the way that he views it. So when he's teaching us about what will come when it comes to prophecy, it's interesting. Like he'll just speak of it as though it's already happened, or as though it is happening, or as though it will happen. So he can use any of those tenses to describe or predict what is going to come when it comes to prophecy. There's a really good book. If you're in here, you're going to see this graph right here, and it's from a book called Theology and Doctrine by Wayne House. What it does is it just has like lists of all the different prophecies we have in the Old Testament concerning Jesus. I thought this was just the easiest way to get you this information. So I didn't put this together. It's from that book. Full credit goes to Wayne House for putting in the work for doing this. I wouldn't mind looking at some of them together with you. So I'm on page 155 on a chart that says Messianic prophecies fulfilled in Christ. I just want to look at a couple of them with you. First, we see that the Bible starts to clarify where Jesus is coming from, what his ancestral line will look like. First, is born of the seed of a woman, okay? And that's talking about Eve. So the idea there, if we went back and studied that, is that you're going to have those who are kind of like children of the serpent and children of the woman, those who will believe in God and those who won't. So even though that seems like that could be anybody, in context and in light of that Old Testament passage, the idea there is that he will come from those who believe. And there was a point where there weren't many who believed. If you remember, by the time you get to Noah, there's only one family left. So the line of the seed, the line of Jesus, was limited to only one family. And Jesus does indeed come from Noah. So that's no little thing. So it's from the seed of the woman. And then it's just from the seed of Abraham. Then from Isaac, Jacob, Judah. And he also must be a descendant of David to reign in his lineage. So you just see more and more detail. So it could be anyone from Abraham. Oh, well, not just anyone from Isaac. Oh, Jacob. Just Judah. Just David. So like you see him continuing to get more and more specific in the prophecy over time. We see timing for Jesus' birth in Daniel 9:25. It says he's going to be born of a virgin in Isaiah 7:14, which, think about it. If you're an Old Testament person who's never heard of such a thing, you have no idea what's coming. To hear those words would make no sense. But it says it. Micah 5:2 actually talks about Bethlehem, which is a tiny little place, okay? If you were from West Virginia, you might be saying from Boone County. People are like, or from Lincoln, like tiny little places, but he's describing them in the Old Testament. It talks about there will be a slaughter of innocents, which takes place as babies are killed by Herod in the attempts for Herod to rid the world of Jesus the Messiah. He goes to Egypt. In Hosea 11:1, it talks about the fact that the coming Messiah will flee to Egypt, and Jesus does. Much like we see the people of Israel go to Egypt for a period of time, Jesus goes to Egypt for a period of time. And it was predicted that that would take place. In Isaiah 9:1-2, it talks about the fact that there's going to be ministry taking place around Galilee. And Jesus spends quite a bit of time in Galilee. It says that he comes to heal the brokenhearted, according to Isaiah 6:1-2, which he himself says, that's why I have come. It says in Isaiah 53:3 that he will be rejected by his own people, who will be rejected by the Jews. And indeed, John 1:11, he is rejected by the Jews multiple times. The triumphal entry and the donkey. Zechariah 9:9 talks about that. And we see the triumphal entry happening in Mark 11. So we see it taking place. On the next page, there's another list of all these things taking place. Psalm 41:9 says that he will be betrayed by a friend. Zechariah 11:12-13, that he'll be sold for 30 pieces of silver. Like, these are smallest, minute details. And the Old Testament speaks of them. It says he'll be crucified with the transgressors, Isaiah 53:12. Zechariah 12:10 says his hands will be pierced. They are. Psalm 34:20 says that no bones will be broken, which usually when you're crucified, your legs are broken at some point, but Jesus's never were. Jesus's bones were never broken. The Old Testament even prophesied that. Zechariah 12:10 says that his side will be pierced. Well, at the end of his life, a spear is driven into the side of Jesus to make sure that he's dead. That happens. So all of these prophecies, okay, pages of them, come true. So if you're someone who's a little skeptical or you struggle sometimes with your faith, for me, and I hope for you, these prophecies just remind us that it has to be true. Like, there is no other explanation than God himself wrote this book through people to prove who he is and what he's like. Like, there's no other explanation. Only a God who knows the future and can control the future, only one who's all-knowing and all-powerful could have written these words and had them come true. Only a God who's already in the future and can see the future and knows what's going to happen could tell you with this detail what he told us in the Old Testament, which then takes place in the New Testament. So it builds my faith. I hope it builds yours as well. Let's go to page 157. I want to bring up another topic. So in Colossians chapter 1, let's flip there. Colossians chapter 1, verses 25 through 29. It talks about this concept of a mystery. And it also talks about this concept of mystery in the book of Ephesians, but we're just going to look at the Colossians passage. Almost there. So Colossians chapter 1, 25 through 29, it says, "Of this church I was made a minister according to the stewardship from God bestowed on me for your benefit, so that I might fully carry out the preaching of the word of God. That is, the mystery which has been hidden from the past ages, from generations, but has now been manifested to the saints." So there's something mysterious that has been talked about in the past ages, but is now being made clear in Paul's day to those who believe. "To whom God willed to make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory." So what is the mystery of the Old Testament? What is this thing that was unclear that now has been made clear? It's that Christ came and died for both Jew and Gentile, and everyone who believes receives Jesus, and Jesus is now in those who believe. So the great mystery is Jesus in the gospel, the person of Jesus and the work of Jesus. Throughout the Old Testament, we see the mystery. So these prophecies were being made, but they didn't really understand what it meant. When it said born of a virgin, or his side would be pierced, or that no bones would be broken. Now, they heard it, but they didn't truly understand it. It was still mysterious to them. But Paul says the mystery has now been revealed, and they can see it. What is it? It's Christ in you. Okay? The hope of glory. Beautiful. So the mystery has been revealed from the Old Testament till now. So in Colossians 2, verses 16 and 17, it talks about the fact that the purpose of the festivals and the rituals in the Old Testament, the purpose of those things are ultimately found in Jesus. The rituals and the things that they did in their festivals pointed to Jesus. So what was mysterious has been made clear in Jesus. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 1, it says, "For the law, since it has only a shadow of good things to come," ... So it points to the law and talks about the law itself being a shadow of something to come. So the whole book of Hebrews is saying over and over again, the priesthood points to Jesus. The high priest is ultimately found in Jesus. Sacrificial system is ultimately fulfilled in Jesus. The law is a mere shadow of what we find in Jesus. So the book of Hebrews is basically a whole book telling us that the whole Old Testament is pointing to Jesus. He is the foundation of all of those things. So the mystery is revealed in Jesus. So from the last core class to this core class, we've looked at Jesus in the Old Testament. We looked at the theophanies, or the appearances of Jesus in the Old Testament. We saw that he is considered Lord, Yahweh, and God, Elohim, of the Old Testament. We learned that this whole idea of typology, that there's pictures being given to us, from the ark to being stuck in Egypt and being redeemed out of slavery, to the way Abraham was, the way Adam was, to the way David was, to the way even some of the different children of Isaac were. Like, we see pictures of the coming Messiah. They're pictures for us of the coming Jesus. In Genesis 3:15, it's announced that Jesus is coming. And then all the great promises and covenants that God makes with his people are ultimately fulfilled in Jesus. Every time we see God visibly in the Old Testament, it is Jesus. The New Testament describes Christ as a mystery of the past, who's made clear in the New Testament now as he came to earth as a baby, fully God, fully man, dying on the cross for our sake. So the conclusion of this study, and the last one and the one before, is that the entire Old Testament is pointing to Jesus. He is the hero of the Old Testament. He is the main topic of the Old Testament. He is the one that it is pointing to. The heartbeat of the Old Testament is there's one who is coming who will save the world. So in Matthew chapter 1, verse 1, when it transitions from Old Testament to New Testament, where does it start? The one who was promised has come. And everyone can celebrate. That which was mysterious is now made known. So as you read your Old Testament, read with those things in mind. Jesus is not on the back burner in the Old Testament. He's in the forefront of the Old Testament. So read thinking about Jesus, read looking for him in the pages, and have it be an opportunity to worship Jesus even when you read the Old Testament. So I look forward to continuing the discussion about Jesus. The next one, we're going to look at his humanity, his incarnation, his life, and his ministry. So we'll see you next time. Thank you.